First and foremost, I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all the brothers that's pushing this work in all sincerity and in truth. And the brother Yahya from the team is Kingston Jamaica camp, here with a quick lesson. And this is basically just an update on what's happening in Cuba. As this is an article from Reuters.com, it says shortages plague Cuba as US sanctions sharpen economic woes. Right? So the sanctions that the US has placed on Cuba is due to the alliance that Cuba has with the Maduro regime in Venezuela. So now what has happened is that Venezuela basically exports oil to Cuba at a discounted price. And this oil is what Cuba sells on the open market to basically make an income to supply their economy with food items. Now, because America has sanctioned the companies, the tanker companies that trades this oil, there is basically a depletion of funds to basically replenish the country with vital necessities, food necessities. As well, the American government has also put a cap on the amount of we call it now, there's a word for it, remittances that the country can earn off of Cubans sending funds to Cuba to Cuba. Cubans that live in America sending funds to Cuba. So that is some of the stringent laws or sanctions that has been put in place to basically squeeze the Cuban economy. As well, America has basically resurrected a law that allows Cuban American to basically sue Cuban companies, right? And this law was from I think it was from 1981 when the embargo was put in place. This was a provision under the Cuban embargo. So now all of these has caused a sharping economic crisis in Cuba. As you're supposed to already know, the situation in Cuba is that they are rationing food due to all of these sanctions that are placed upon them by the American government, right? So as the article goes into says Havana, Israel, Ed Hidalgo and his wife left home around 7:30 a.m. to reach a supermarket across Havana because they heard it might be selling chicken, a staple of the Cuban diet increasingly scarce on the shortage plagued island. After Cuba started limiting sales this month, partly blaming tightened US economic sanctions on the communist-run island, the couple wanted to buy as much as possible and lined up for 3 hours under the Cuban and the Caribbean sun to get tickets guaranteeing them rations. Right? Inside, they lined up again to collect 2 bags of chicken thighs each, as fellow shoppers elbowed one another in pursuit of their own rations and headed for the checkout feeling like they had won the lottery. Now, 2 bags of chicken and feeling like I had won the lottery can show you how in need or in demand these produce are, right? So it continues and say, we were born in this revolution and are used to rough times, said Hidalgo, right? A 61-year-old blacksmith. We are bracing ourselves for it to get worse. Long lines outside shops with mostly bare shelves are increasingly common in Cuba, and the government has indeed signaled that things are going from bad to worse. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel, in a speech last month, accused the Trump administration of engaging in an asphyxiated financial persecution that makes import of goods and resources of primary necessity particularly difficult. The degree to which the new US sanctions, due to part to Cuban support for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, have compounded its economic woes is open to debate. The economy had already stagnated in recent years in tandem with the implosion of strategic ally Venezuela, resulting in cuts in fuel and energy used by state entities, and this year's shortages of basic goods such as bread, chicken, and eggs. But the increase in sanctions, which have hit the key tourism sector and added to investor and bank jitters about dealing with Cuba, as some economists predicting the economy will slip from stagnation into full-blown recession later this year. Now this is the category of difficulty that the Cuban economy is going through, and they are going through this difficulty because of the American government. Now the American government is likes to say that it's all about human development, but in actions they are not, right? The scripture classify them as the armor of the earth. And when you read the scriptures, these things are precursors to worse events that are about to come, right? This is just the tip of the iceberg, because as you realize, anyone, any country, any nation or state, being it sovereign or not, that goes up against or go against the policies of America, America finds some way, shape or form to put stringent measures on that country, right? We have seen it with Russia, we have seen it with Panama, we have seen it with Grenada, we have seen it with numerous amount of countries across the globe. This is what America agenda is about. They are not about human development and sustainment, right? They are about hardship, and any country that goes aside from their agenda, they are going to put the full pressure of their economy on that country, right? That's why the scriptures, let's go into some precept, right? That's why the scripture tells you in the book of Proverbs. Let's see what the book of Proverbs says. Phone acting up. Bear with it for a minute, please. Alright. The book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear to rule, the people mourn. When you examine what's happening in Cuba, the people are mourning right now. The scripture goes down to verse 16, says, when the wicked multiply, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. And it is coming to a time when we shall definitely see the fall of the white man. We're going to see the fall of the American empire. That's why the precept in Jeremiah 50, verse 23 says, 50 verse 23 says, how is the armor of the whole earth cut asunder? Because America is that armor. America is the one that goes around, kills, pillage, robs and spoil a multitude of nations, and then says that it has done nothing. Then says that it is doing this for the betterment of their economy. You go into Iraq, go into Afghanistan, you go into Syria, go into all of these countries. You see it? You go into Libya, and then you overthrow their economy, rob and pillage their resources, then say that you have done nothing. But the scripture is asking, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? Because a time is coming where America will go down. It has to go down, man. That's why the scripture referring back to Proverbs 29 and 1 and 2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, and this time has to come about. See, but when the wicked bear rule, right, the people mourn. So the people will continue to mourn unless the righteous come back in their standard. And the righteous are the elect of the nation of Israel, men. That's why this word is this truth. The scripture is always being directed to the elect of the nation of Israel. right? So America must be broken, man. See, scripture says, how is Babylon become a desolation among the heathens, among the nations? Because all the other nations them are basically align against America. See, them are align against America and them are overthrow America, man. See, this is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1. Let me see if I find that precept. See, says verse 6 say, how are the things of Esau searched out, how are his hidden things sought up? Now all of what America is doing is coming to light. It's coming to light. Only the ignorant and the blind and the deaf not going to realize what they are doing, man. That they are putting the world in a state of turmoil to suit their new world order. This thing is a real thing. This is not no conspiracy, right? The time to believe that this thing is a conspiracy is far gone. This thing is in full effect, man. Zane, the things that are happening, the policies that they are putting out, right? All of these things that the Trump administration is doing, man, is showing you directly what their agenda is, yo. And putting a country in such state of sufferation. For what? For what? For being an ally with another country? Simply for being an ally? You can definitely see that their agenda is not up to anything good, yo. So he said, all are the things of Esau searched out, and Esau is referring to the so-called white man, because the so-called white man is the one that is in charge of this earth right now. They are the one who the scripture refer to as the wicked, right? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, right? All the men of thy confederacy, and there are other countries that are allied with America. They are not allied with America because they are after that, because they possess the same values, Zine, but because they fear America, Zine, and on a higher level, they basically have to overthrow America, because it's through the downfall of America they intend to rise from the ashes of basically accomplishing their new world order, man. Right? So he said, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right? So this is what is happening, yo. The so-called white man must go down. The so-called white man must go down because his agendas are evil. His ways are the ways that lead to death. This is the book of Psalms 12 and 8. It said, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. And the vilest men are being exalted right now. The Trump administration, all of these things that he's speaking about making America great again. The way that America became great is through the blood, sweat, and tears of slavery. That is where America became great. Since the time that slavery was abolished, right? America started to decline. That was what happened. They had slave labor. Slave labor, that's why they were great. So now they have to what? They have to basically sit and rest on the backs of other countries to be on top. Right? This is the book of Micah, chapter 1. Let's see if I want. Nope, it's not 1. It's 2. So woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. This is what they are doing in Cuba right now, man. They are oppressing the people of Cuba. Zine, they covet fields through the laws where them resurrect. The provision where them resurrect where them basically decree from 19 or long. Understand? And they take them by violence. Them evil plan for go in a threaten for going to Venezuela, yo. Zine, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. You understand? They might use stringent measures, and these stringent measures are just showing you that, just revealing what America is about, and it's revealing what's going to happen in the time to come. Because the scripture tells you that there's going to come a time of famine. See, there's going to be a time of the famine of the word, but there's also going to be a physical famine, which it refers to in the book of Second Ezra, which I'm going to get that. Right. So this is the book of Second Ezra. Bear with me, quick. This is the book of Second Ezra. Going to Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 22. Says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. This is the time that we're coming to right now. We're coming to a time where the sown places shall be found unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Why do you think they're rationing food in Cuba? If this can happen to Cuba, in the article it states that, when you read down further, it states that 2/3 of Cuban produce comes from imports, right? So they have to try to reallocate funds to basically invest in their agriculture, because they were not prepared for this type of crisis. So therefore the economy will worsen before it get better. But as I've said, this is just a tip of the iceberg, man. You have many countries right now within the Caribbean whose situation is similar, is if not worse, in terms of how much of their food to sustain themselves they have to import. As for Jamaica, I think Jamaica, I'm not gonna quote a figure, but majority of their supply are not supplied by themselves. They can't supply themselves entirely. They have to import a majority of their food supply from overseas, right? So with that you realize the simple, let me just put it this way. You realize how easy it is for the country to basically implode and go in a state of crisis, right? And that's why you have precepts like this. This is the book of Second Ezra's. Let me see. Second Ezra chapter 15 verse 16 says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. This is speaking about a riot, because a time will come where the rationing for food will cause some to have food and some not to have food. And the ones that find it difficult to get food, they are going to do what? They are going to invade another, right? They shall not regard their kings nor their princes. So even though right now the Cuban government is trying to maintain a certain civil order within the country, there might even come a time when the government have to be under guards, because the people might seek to them to go in their dwellings to get food, right? And the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. See, so because of the lack of bread, these things are going to happen, you. This is a natural human instinct. This is a base human instinct. It's called survival of the fittest, right? Whoever can sustain and guard their own will be the one who will come out on top, right? And if you put them in a austere situation, their base human instinct of survival will start to show, right? And even women, the women will have a natural reaction as well. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 32 verse 10. It says, Many days and years shall he be troubled, a careless woman, because women are one of the cause of being careless and blinded to reality of what's really happening around us. Right? They don't really, as it says in the movie Godfather, women and children can be careless, but men cannot be careless. And women of our nation are careless. They are not privy, and nor do they wish to see the level of austerity that is about to come on the face of the whole entire earth, man. Understand? So it said, many days and here shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, and be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. When he says to gird sackcloth upon your loins, is basically to be in a state of mourning. You see? So he says, they shall lament for the teeds, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Right? They're going to lament for the teeds. That's what it says in 2nd Ezra 6 and 22. It says, suddenly shall the sown places become unsown. And the full storehouses shall be found empty. And we all know women love them belly. Them can't even sustain to basically wall out like a man, but even the men. Even the men, the scripture said, the mighty men shall cry there bitterly. Right? When you reach in a state of austerity, in a state where your country cannot sustain you, nor find enough food to feed you, due to an imposed famine, right? These are the things that are going to happen, man. The place is going to go into a state of turmoil. Men not gonna regard them kings, not gonna regard them princes, them neighbors. Women are gonna cry out in the streets. Zine, people are gonna be like dogs, yo. This is not far from reality. Not because right now you don't really see things on a catastrophic level, right? It's really right at your doorsteps. You see? So it says, they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. You understand? This is what's going to come. And that's why it tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Verse 1, it says, remember now the Creator and the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the days draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun, nor the light, nor the moon, or the stars be darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Right? So, before you say you don't have no pleasure in the days that are about to come, because the days are about to come are not pleasurable times. It's not a time of joy nor a time of mirth. See, it's a time of belly growling. When your belly are growl and you start to imagine that your baby are one piece of chicken, that those are the times that are about to come. You understand? Say, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be dark, and there shall be no hope. Right now in Cuba, they might say to themselves that they have hope. They have a smidge of hope for to be basically sustain themselves, because what the couple there say, the couple who said basically them live throughout the time of the revolution, you see, which was a hard time, but a time is coming that is more difficult than that, yo. You see? And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, because working are gonna cease. The manufacturing companies, all of those companies are gonna shut down. You see, in your source of income are gonna shut down. The scripture tells you, yo, your money now gonna save it in the time of trouble. You understand? So the grinding are gonna cease, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be burdened, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Understand? These are the times that are coming. It's a coming a time of turmoil, a time of trouble upon all men. You understand? Because right now the scripture tells you that in book of Revelation that the enemy is coming down upon you because he know that he had but a short time. The state of the American economy is in a complete state of this of of disrepairment. Understand? Right now the American economy cannot um re-establish itself because they have spread their armies too thin, and right now they are trying to basically bring down everyone that's around them because they are going down. You understand? And these things are going to happen. They are going to put economic pressures on countries that are not aligned with them, man. And that's as we see it as an example in Venezuela. And that Venezuela situation is causing a domino effect because you see it as a ripple effect on Cuba. Cuba is rationing food right now, and they are doing everything that they can to put Cuba in a state of turmoil. Right? So we have to take these things as examples to look forward and to see, be prudent of the times that are about to come. Now, with that, I hope that this was edifying unto the elect of the nation of Israel. I want to say Kalalal, how Shem Yahushai, Shem Makar Kwadar, Makar Kwadash. Zin, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all the brothers that's pushing this work in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom.